Toke thought she'd found someone who finally cared, a teacher who saw beyond the taunts and tears. But she was betrayed and abandoned. Her heartbreak turned into something far darker, a quiet, powerful resolve that would make her tormentors finally feel her pain. Toke was a 16-year-old chubby and beautiful girl who lived in a large house on the edge of town. Her parents were wealthy, successful business people, and Toke grew up with everything she could ever want, at least everything money could buy. Her parents thought that a big house, fancy clothes, and a private school were all that she needed. But despite all this, Toke was lonely. She has no friends to play with and family to talk to. Her parents were rarely home, always traveling for work or attending important events. They assumed that Toke was fine on her own, and that she would make friends at her prestigious school. But things had not turned out that way. At school, she was quiet and shy, and she was not slim like most of the other girls. She was chubby, which made her feel out of place, and she wore clothes that, although expensive, were modest and plain. Toke did not have the confidence to dress like the other girls. The popular kids at school noticed her insecurity, and they used it against her. A group of them would laugh at her whenever she passed by. They called her names like Toke the Mound and Chubby Bunny. They pointed out her weight and made fun of her clothes. Toke tried to ignore them, but each insult chipped away at her self-esteem. She began to feel smaller and smaller, almost like she was disappearing. One day, Toke's English teacher, Mr. Sedge, noticed her sitting alone during lunch, looking sad and staring at her food. Mr. Sedge was in his 40s, with a kind face, and he was popular among the students because he was funny and seemed to care about everyone. He approached Toke and said, "Are you okay?" Startled and surprised, she looked up and tried to smile, but her eyes were sad. Mr. Sedge started giving her extra help with her studies and made her feel seen and important. He'd listen to her thoughts, even about little things, like her favorite books and movies. Toke was grateful for his kindness. She felt happy. She thought he understood her, and she began to trust him. She had never had anyone give her that kind of attention before, not even her parents. Slowly, she started to feel that Mr. Sedge really cared about her. Over time, Toke mistook Mr. Sedge's attention for love. She saw him as her friend, even her protector. Mr. Sedge encouraged this feeling subtly, enjoying the attention she gave him. He never mentioned his family, his wife, and 2 young children, because he wanted Toke to focus only on him. Toke became more attached, daydreaming, thinking that maybe he cared for her in a way that was different from a teacher's care for a student. One evening, Mr. Sedge invited Toke to meet him outside of school. He suggested they keep it a secret, saying it was just between them. Toke was nervous, but felt special. She wanted to believe that Mr. Sedge had genuine feelings for her, so with a little to no pressure, she agreed. They met a few times, and each time, Toke felt more drawn to him. Eventually, their relationship crossed a line that Toke had not expected, and she was left confused. She thought Mr. Sedge loved her and cared for her, but she was starting to feel used. But she has to one to talk to about it. A few weeks later, Toke found out she was pregnant. Shocked, her heart pounded as she stared at the test. She did not know what to do, where to go, or who to tell. When she later told Mr. Sedge, expecting support from him, he reacted in horror. His face turned pale, and he immediately demanded that she get an abortion immediately. He warned her about what would happen to him if anyone found out. He did not care about her feelings, only about himself. He pressured Toke relentlessly, threatening her in ways she had not expected. He made her feel like she had no option, no choice. He made feel like a nobody. Toke looked around and found nobody, no family, no friends. She really felt heartbroken and alone. Toke finally agreed to go through with it, feeling numb and empty. The experience was traumatic. As she lays on the operation bed, felt empty in and out. And afterward, Mr. Sedge completely distanced himself from her. He will not even look at her when they passed each other at school. Even throwing subtle insult at her in class. Toke felt used, thrown away like she was nothing. The bullying continued, now even worse than before. As rumors began to spread around school, Toke did not know who had started them, but people whispered about her constantly. She is a slut, they says. She is dirty. She felt humiliated, and the depression weighed heavily on her. She spent her days in silence, replaying everything that had happened in her mind. One evening, after another long day of feeling broken and invisible, Toke looked in the mirror, staring intensely. She barely recognized the girl staring back at her. She felt like she'd lost herself completely, but a spark of anger started to grow within her. She realized she was tired of being weak, tired of letting others walk all over her. She beautiful, intelligent, and rich. She decided right there that she would take back control of her life. Toke began to change. She started spending her evenings in her family's library, reading books on psychology and self-defense. She learned about confidence, about how to face fear, and how to reclaim her power. Toke employed people to teach her self-defense. After all, she had the money. Slowly growing stronger, both physically and mentally. Her transformation was not quick, but with each passing day, she became a little more resilient. She stood with her back straight and looked up, walked with confidence she has never felt before. After months of this, Toke felt ready. She decided she could not let Mr. Sedge get away with what he has done to her, and she would not let the bullies at school continue to torment her anymore. With her family's resources, she hired a private investigator to help her gather information on Mr. Sedge and the students who had bullied her. She discovered secrets about each of them, details they would not want anyone to know. What shocked her? She was not the first person to fall victim to Mr. Sedge's lies and fake friendships. He has been destroying the life of many innocent young girls who are too sacred to speak out. Mr. Sedge was a demon in human skin. Toke started using these secrets to her advantage. She did not need to say much to her bullies, just a small, knowing smile or a subtle hint that she knew things about them. I know your dark secrets. Her bullies became anxious, worried that their own secrets might come to light. Gradually, they left her alone, too scared to continue their cruel behavior. Toke felt proud of herself. She has overcome the trauma of her life. She walked away from them looking proud and happy. Toke's final plan was to expose Mr. Sedge. She had gathered enough evidence to reveal his double life. Using an anonymous account, she sent the evidence, including messages and other records, to the school administration and to Mr. Sedge's family. When his wife and children found out the truth, they were heartbroken, and it shattered his home life and his reputation. His colleagues and students saw him for who he really was. Many were shocked and surprised and disappointed. In an empty classroom, Toke confronted Mr. Sedge one last time. He looked at her now, frightened and ashamed, saying he was sorry, while she looked at him with a calm, steady gaze. She told him, "You took my child from me. I will never forgive you. I am no longer the weak, scared girl you can use and throw away." She had taken back her power, and now he would have to live with the consequences of his actions. He was later arrested and sent to 5 years in prison. As for her former bullies, they faded into the background. Each one faced their own unraveling secrets, and they no longer had any power over Toke. She gained a new confidence, one that did not depend on anyone's approval. Toke understood that the strength she found in herself was the only thing that truly mattered. On the day of graduation, Toke stood tall among her classmates, her heart filled with a quiet pride. She looked out at the world ahead of her, ready to leave behind her painful past. Toke knew that she had taken control of her life and that she was ready to face whatever came next. As she left her high school for the last time, Toke walked confidently toward a future she had built for herself. She had learned that real power came from facing her fears, standing up for herself, and moving forward, unbroken. She also knew she will never forget her unborn child. A tear dropped from her eyes. "Mother is sorry."
Please remember to subscribe to this channel and give my video a thumbs up. And I'll see you in my next video soon. Thank you.